After playing Marvel Rivals for a total of 4 hours, I can confidently say that I now see why people like the NetherRare tag so much. Like seriously, did Mr. Fantastic have to be this caked up in the game? Now that the new Fantastic Four movie is out, I'm sure everyone is wondering whether it's good or not. Don't worry, I'll save you the time and just tell you right now. Yes, it is good. Pretty good in fact. Almost as good as Superman. So now that we got that straight, let me just go on an ego trip of how I was right 1 month ago. Yeah, you might be right. I'll do it later. Because the movie being good isn't just what I want to focus on in this video. What I want to focus on is how comic accurate the movie and its characters actually are. Mostly because I find it more interesting to see how comic accuracy can make or break a superhero movie, since that has happened before. So allow me to take you on a journey to see how comic accuracy helps this movie work as an adaptation, starting with the Fantastic Four themselves, and their history. The Fantastic Four was created by Stan Lee when the higher-ups at Marvel Comics wanted to copy the Justice League, but being the absolute GOAT he is, Stan Lee opted for a different approach, and made them almost nothing like the Justice League at the time. No secret identities, no damsel in distress, the love interest knew who the superhero was, and there was no teenage sidekick. Oh, and a comic relief character as the fourth member. I always forget that last thing. This is pretty much the creation of the Fantastic Four in a nutshell, and as for how they got their powers, Reed basically pulled an FU to the government when they were about to cut funding for his rocket that would be the first to reach planets beyond the moon. He decided it would be a smart idea to bring his girlfriend Susan Storm, her brother Johnny, and have his old college roommate Ben Grimm pilot the rocket. Unsurprisingly, everything that could go wrong does, and the entire crew are hit by a cosmic ray storm. And after discovering their powers, they decide to become a superhero team and use their powers for good, with no regard for a secret identity whatsoever. Oh, by the way, Reed and Susan's son Franklin is overpowered as fuck in the comics, which kinda makes sense when you realize just how powerful super elasticity and invisibility combined with force fields actually are. But that's just their comic book origins. Does the movie actually adapt the material properly? The movie itself is a massive sigh of relief when it comes to a proper adaptation, and everyone who was afraid of this movie flopping and the MCU finally falling off. The actors are all great and give their 110% best in their roles, especially Joseph Quinn as Johnny, although I bet you he wishes his hair looked just as good as mine. I mean seriously, you don't get curls like these from just good products alone. Oh right, my bad. As I was saying, the actors all look the part and fit their roles pretty well. While the adaptation of their origin is slightly off in certain areas, it keeps the same motions and heart of their story, following the same beats as the original comic, with the characters being just as faithful. Reed is the same genius workaholic that he is in the comics, Johnny is a lovable asshole that refuses to keep it in his pants, Ben is still Ben, and Susan remains the heart of the team. Hell, even the villains are incredibly faithful. The female Silver Surfer is a great adaptation of the original comic, and Galactus is really done justice here as a neutral evil type of villain, which serves the plot extremely well, as it gives us a good look into Shallow Ball as the Silver Surfer, pretty much sacrificing her life to be Galactus's bitch, with Susan Storm being the main reason the four win at the end, being just as well done, especially when you consider the fact that this is what Stan Lee would have wanted for this character. I think the best part is that she's not overpowered either, considering that she literally dies from overusing her powers, and is only brought back due to her son being overpowered as hell, so I don't want to hear any BS about the MCU being brought back. Looking at you ranting for vengeance. Now before we continue, I just want to get something off my chest real quick. You don't mind, right?
Oh boy.
Alright, let me just make a few things clear. I shower regularly, but not so much that my water bill will be low enough for me to notice when it's too high. I go outside whenever I need to buy something necessary or miscellaneous, and I do have a life outside of the internet. But I can tell you right now, none of that is gonna stop me from rightfully crashing out over the fact that I was right and no one gives me the credit. Like I was saying, I told you so. I told you 1 month ago that this movie would have little to no gender politics in it, and I was right. I told you that this movie had none of the warning signs of a bad woke Marvel movie, and I was right. I also told you that Silver Surfer was in the right hands with Julia Garnett, and I was motherfucking right. I did all of that because I told you so. Okay, you might actually have a point there. If this is the first video of mine that you've watched, then I would like to leave you with this statement. I was right, they were wrong, and you should subscribe to me because this is the second time I've been right about something like this. Well, of course I am. Did you hear the way I talked about my hair earlier? Alright, then let me do this to prove to the viewer that I'm worthy of their subscription. Let's spend the next minute or two discussing other good adaptations of the Fantastic Four and why they work so well. While the Fantastic Four has been getting the shit end of the stick when it comes to their adaptations, one does stand out, that being their own animated show, Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes. This show is arguably the best adaptation of the Fantastic Four, as it gets everything right. The characters, the jokes, the action, the villains, you name it. And it even delivers on some well-made cameos. Of course, I could glaze it even further, but I doubt you'd want to hear slurping noises for the next 30 minutes. I wish I could say that same joke about these movies though, as they're either laughably bad or just plain boring. And don't even get me started on the 1994 film, as that deserves a video all on its own. And now that I think about it, all this talk about adaptations is bringing my mind back to what I said in chapter 2 of this video. The MCU has had some highs, some lows, and some instances where the only reason I go to see the movie is if I was making a video on it that would pay me triple the amount I spent on the ticket. In recent years, specifically past 2019, the MCU has been on a downward decline in terms of quality, having mediocre storylines, cringy dialogue, bad CGI, poorly developed messages, and shitty adaptations of characters who had a lot of potential, with only a few movies being a cut above the rest, either through sheer fan service or just being that good. And with this movie, I hope the MCU gets back to what made it so great to begin with, before the inevitable reboot of course. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go to my search history to finish what I started at the beginning of the video, and I'm gonna need this too.